Hi everyone, it's Jane here, Card Days Night for Time for Tea Designs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a background using just one image. So I'm going to be using this adorable little avocado from the Let's Spoon stamp set, and what I've done here is just stamped out one in advance and worked out which Copic colours that I'd like to use as a little guide, and I've written them all down the side there to refer to as I go along. So the first thing I've done here is cut a piece of white cardstock to an A2 size, and I have mounted the avocado on a small acrylic block, and I'm using a Copic friendly ink, which is Gina's Onyx black amalgam ink, to stamp the avocado down onto my page. I'm stamping them in a fairly random pattern, just trying to keep the same distance roughly between each avocado, and I'm doing some which are upright, some sideways, some flipped over, which I think helps create a slightly more whimsical look. So I'm just filling up the whole page, and I also think what's a good idea is to have some that go off the edge of the page as well, rather than having them all kind of centered. So I'm just filling the gaps here where there are some around the edges, and then just as I do my last one there, I actually smudge it with the acrylic block. So I try a few things here to correct my mistake. I try a mono sand eraser. This is the Creative Detailer tool, and I even try this white gel pen, but really nothing's working. So I realised that the only thing to do here is either to trim it down and put it on a background, or to start again. And I raided my cardstock stash for a nice kind of avocado green, and I found one that I was quite happy with, so I decided to trim the panel down. I had to take about 1/2 inch off the top, and then obviously I took 1/2 inch off the side to kind of equal it up, but I'm quite happy with how that turned out actually. So to colour up these little avocados, I'm starting with the darkest Copic colour on the outside, which I think is G99. I'm imagining my light source is coming from the top right hand side of each avocado, so I'm going heavier with the dark colours in the bottom left where the shadows would be, and I'm going from darkest on the outside to lightest towards the middle. My next colour there is YG67, moving then onto YG17, and all I'm doing really is kind of moving around the outline of the avocado, overlapping the colours a little bit, so it really is quite simple colouring. I moved on now to YG23 and then YG13 in the middle. Usually I'd probably do 2 layers of colouring to get a good blend, but I was actually happy with the blend here, so I decided to leave it as it was, especially as there's a lot of avocados to colour, so it would have taken forever and a day if I'd gone over it with several layers. Moving on to the avocado stone, I've used E29 on the outside, again having that shadow on the bottom left, so a thicker layer of the dark colours on the bottom left. As I move towards the middle, I've gone to E37, E35, E33 and then E31 as the lightest colour. Finally, for the outside of the avocado, I've done E31 and then a very thin line of E35 right around the edge. I'll list all of the Copic colours in the description below, and also on the Time for Tea blog in this month's step-by-step tutorial. So if you've missed anything, you can get them there. And then I just did exactly the same for the rest of the avocados, so I didn't bother to film the whole process, but this is how it looked in the end, and I think actually it is quite adorable. I like how it makes quite a bold and striking background for relatively little effort, and it's actually quite a quick card to come together. I made it in my lunch hour from work. I'm not sure I should admit that or not, but to finish this off and make it into a card, I've just put a load of foam tape on the back, and then centered it in the middle of that kind of avocado coloured green cardstock. Finally, I am doing my sentiment, which is the You Guac My World sentiment from the same stamp set. I'm stamping it with Versamark embossing ink and sprinkling over some bright white superfine powder from Wow Embossing, which I think is brilliant for sentiments because it really picks out the detail really well. I'm just heating that up with my heat tool, and then I'm going to trim the sentiment down using my brand new mini trimmer, which I bought from the Time for Tea design store recently. It is such a handy thing to have on your desk all the time for sentiments, rather than having to go to my huge kind of Tim Holtz trimmer. Now I am just adding some foam tape to the back of the sentiment so I can give it a nice bit of dimension, given that the rest of the card is pretty much one layer. And I'm just eyeballing it really. I should really use a T-square ruler, but as I said, I was doing this in my lunch hour, so it was going pretty quickly. Finally, to finish up, I'm just prepping a card base. So I've made this into a top folding A2 size, so that's 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And I'm adding my card panel on with some tape runner. And that finishes up today's card. So I hope this has inspired you, and I'd love to see what you make with your small images. Hope to see you soon. Bye.